The Merchant's Daughter, Chapter 6, Face to Face. By late afternoon, the storm had calmed some of the wild fear, but made the villagers even more resolved to find the unknown beast. Their imaginations ran wild in the dim light. Some frightened themselves with thoughts of werewolves, which everyone knew stalked any night with a full moon. Those who owned animals whispered about the Lishi, the forest spirit who guards the woods and the wild animals. The Lishi could shapeshift, leading travelers astray or punishing those who disrespected nature. But the more frightened villagers of Arkhangelsk imagined the fabled Zimy Gordinch, a fearsome multi-headed dragon. Elora quietly approached Ivan, who stood near the hearth studying the rough map of the surrounding forest. The firelight caught the worry lines around his eyes, making him look older than his years. "Ivan, please listen to me," Elora said softly. "I went out last night after seeing you at Henrik's farm, thinking of the mysterious tracks, but keeping it to herself. There's definitely something out there that we're hunting. But I don't think it's fearsome, as many believe. I saw wolves, but I also saw..." "Wolves!" Ivan's voice cracked. His left hand curled protectively. An unconscious gesture that reminded Elora of that terrible day years ago when his father had not survived a wolf attack. "Then you know how dangerous they are. How can you be so calm about this?" "Because there's more to the story," Elora insisted. "If you'll just let me show you my evidence." The tavern door burst open, letting in a gust of chilly air. The weaver stood in the doorway, his usually neat appearance somewhat disheveled. "Elora," he called, "it's time. We must prepare if we're to be ready by nightfall." Ivan's eyes narrowed. "Ready for what?" "To find the truth," Elora said, meeting his gaze steadily. "Ivan, I know you want to protect everyone. So do I. But what if we're about to make a terrible mistake? What if we're hunting the wrong thing?" Something flickered in Ivan's expression, a shadow of doubt crossing his determined face. "You were always one who could see what others missed," he said quietly. "Even when we were little, you noticed things." "Then trust me one more time," Elora pleaded. "Give me until morning. If I'm wrong, I'll join the hunting party myself." Ivan ran a hand through his dark hair, a gesture familiar to Elora. They'd been friends for so long, climbing apple trees together, sharing secrets, looking out for each other. Now it felt like they stood on opposite sides of a widening gap. "Until morning," he finally agreed. "But be careful, Elora. Sometimes the gentlest hearts can be too trusting." The word so familiar, yet so different from her father's wisdom about gentle hearts and fierce dragons, rang in Elora's ears as she hurried home with the weaver. The late afternoon sun cast shadows across her garden, making her white roses glow like pearls against the darkening stone walls of her home. Inside, Elora moved with purpose, gathering what she would need. Her brass lantern came first, the one her father had brought from distant lands, with its clever mica shield to protect the flame. She filled it carefully with oil, remembering how her father had taught her to check the wick's length for the steadiest light. Next came her knife in its leather sheath, small but sharp, and her father's leather-bound notebook for recording evidence. The weaver watched her preparations with approval, occasionally suggesting additional items. A length of rope, some dried fruit for energy, a small flask of water. His own pack lay open on the table, revealing glimpses of mysterious scrolls and ancient-looking books. "Your father taught you well," he observed, noting how she wrapped each item carefully to prevent noise. "But there are some things about the forest that even he didn't know." A knock at the door made them both pause. Ivan stood on the threshold, his tall frame silhouetted against the dimming sky. His face showed the struggle between the leader he needed to be and the friend he'd always been. "I had to come," he said quietly, stepping inside. His eyes took in their preparations. "You're really going through with this?" "I am," Elora replied, continuing to pack, but watching him carefully. "I know what I saw last night, Ivan, and I know you're afraid for everyone's safety. But there's something more happening here than we understand." Ivan moved to the hearth, staring into the flames as if they held answers. "Do you remember," he said slowly, "when we were little and that storm blew in from the White Sea? Everyone was rushing to secure their boats, but you insisted something was wrong with old widow Petrova's cat. No one else had noticed it was missing. We found it trapped under the overturned flower boxes," Elora remembered, smiling slightly. "You helped me search, even though you thought I was being silly." "You've always seen things others miss," Ivan admitted, turning back to face her. His hand unconsciously touched the scar in his arm. It was a gesture that spoke of old fears and deeper wounds. "But sometimes, what we think we see isn't what's really there." "I know this forest. Trust me one more time," Elora pleaded softly. "That's all I'm asking." The silence stretched between them, filled with years of shared memories and the weight of their current choices. Finally, Ivan reached into his coat and pulled out a small object wrapped in cloth. "Take this," he said, unwrapping a small compass, its brass case polished by years of use. "It was my father's. He used it the day—" He didn't need to finish the sentence. "Just come back safely." After Ivan left, the weaver pulled an ancient scroll from his pack. "Before you go," he said, "there's something you should know." He unrolled the parchment, revealing intricate drawings of dragons. These were not monsters. They were noble creatures with wise eyes. In the oldest stories, dragons were guardians, protectors. They sang songs that could calm storms and heal wounds. He taught her a simple melody, its notes rising and falling like gentle waves. "Hum this tune, Elora," instructed the weaver. The tune was simple. Elora's pure voice cut through the tension in the air. Birds would have stopped their singing to listen had it been morning hours. "You have a beautiful voice that matches your brave heart," offered the weaver. "Now hum it a few more times. If you find yourself face to face with the dragon," he explained, "this song might help. But remember, the most important thing is what's in your heart." The sun was setting as Elora stepped into the forest, her father's notebook tucked safely in her pack alongside the weaver's scroll. The trees seemed to lean closer, their branches creaking in the evening breeze. She lit the lantern again, and she followed the wolf tracks deeper into the shadows, her lantern casting dancing light across the undergrowth. Near a rocky outcropping, she found fresh signs. Bones from the wolves' recent meals, but unusually scattered. There were more prints in the mud and something else. Scraps of cloth caught on thorns, boot prints that didn't match those of the village cobbler. The wolves' usual hunting grounds seemed disturbed, as if they had been pushed into new territory. These things didn't seem right. A twig snapped behind her. Elora turned instantly. 3 wolves emerged from the darkness, their gray coats blending with twilight shadows. Again, she lifted her lantern high and raised her arms. This time, instead of fear, she had resolve. She moved slowly forward as if to threaten and invade their territory with light and fire. But instead of attacking, the wolves moved cautiously, almost herding her away from the rocky path. Their ears were pricked forward, alert to something beyond her human senses. That's when she heard it. A soft whoosh in the air, like giant wings displacing evening stillness. The massive shape that had haunted the storm clouds now descended into the clearing, its movements graceful despite its size. The dragon landed with barely a sound, folding wings that seemed to shimmer with starlight. Elora's heart thundered in her chest, but not with fear. The dragon's eyes met her, ancient and knowing, filled with an intelligence that took her breath away. Without thinking, she began to hum the weaver's song, its gentle notes floating in the space between them. The dragon's response was like distant thunder, a low rumble that vibrated through the earth. The wolves, as if responding to an unspoken command, melted back into the forest. But before they vanished, Elora saw how they moved, not like hungry predators, but like sentries completing their rounds. "You've been protecting us," she whispered in sudden understanding. "The wolves were pushed here by something else, weren't they? And you've been keeping them from the village." The dragon's head dipped, ever so slightly, before the massive dragon turned its head, its gaze shifting to the rocky path where Elora found the strange boot prints. Did it understand me? Her mind raced. A warning rumbled in its throat. Its wings lifted almost without sound, and then with one powerful stroke, he lifted off the earth and was gone. Movement caught her eye. Torchlight flickered through the trees. Voices speaking in harsh whispers. The weaver materialized from the shadows, placing a finger to his lips. Together they crept closer, staying hidden in the darkness. What they saw confirmed Elora's suspicion. A group of rough-looking men huddled around a campfire, weapons gleaming at their sides. Bandits, using the fear of monsters and wolves to mask their own activities. "We have our proof," the weaver whispered. "Now we can show Ivan and the others what's really happening." Above them, silent as an owl's flight, the dragon kept watch, its presence a reminder that not all fierce things were enemies, and not all gentle hearts